نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Inshallah, we're starting on page number 29. We were talking about the topic of death, grave, and the afterlife. So on page number 29, inshallah. So we spoke about the first part of this, that when we pass away, the three questions in our grave, and the munkar and nakir coming to our graves. So inshallah, at the top of page 29, it says, there is a big benefit for the deceased believers when the living supplicate and donate sadaqah or charity on their behalf. And then he mentions here that at the bottom of the footnote, if you look, according to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, you know, for Sunni Muslims, the actual name for Sunni Muslims, you have, normally taught Sunni and Shia Muslims, right? The actual name Sunni Muslims is a short abbreviation. The actual name is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah. Okay, so here, when he says Sunni Muslims, and the book he said according to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that is basically Sunni Muslims. Okay, so those who are the Muslims following the correct teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran and the Sunnah. So according to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, a person may designate the reward of any voluntary good deed to another person, whether alive or deceased, without it decreasing from the person's reward whatsoever. This applies to all types of worship, including the ritual prayer, the salah, fasting, hajj, sadaqah, charity in general, recitation of Quran, du'as, and the like. If the one for whom it is designated is deceased, the reward reaches him and provides some sort of benefit for him. Imam Tabarani relates in his Awsat, that's one of his books, on the authority of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if one of you donates voluntary charity, then let him designate it for his parents, so that they both receive a reward, without decreasing his reward in at least bit. It says, for obligatory acts of worship, see, so we'll discuss that later. So here it mentions here, one key thing, a key important thing. You know, when someone passes away, and everyone knows when this information we all apply. You know, who's ever been to a khatam before? Right? Everyone's been to a khatam, right? Someone passes away, we go to a khatam. Basically, this is what a khatam is. Khatam doesn't mean that we go there, have some food, and go home. We'll be like, what food's going to be at the khatam, right? Like some students, when they say there's a khatam in a masjid, and they say, is there going to be food? Right? That's not the point of a khatam. Khatam means khatmul Quran. Right? If I say to you, going back to food again, you say, is there any chawal? And I say, the chawal khatam. What does khatam mean? Finished, right? So, khatam actually refers to finishing khatmul Quran. Finishing reading the Quran. So when you read the Quran and you complete the Quran, at that time of completing the Quran, you should do dua. What the ulama would do, and it would be the habit of the scholars of the past and the Sahaba Ikram as well, when they're about to finish the Quran, they'll gather their family together and then they read the last few surahs of the Quran. Okay, so that's how you get the dua, that's how you do the dua. Not like you read the Quran, you finish the Quran on Monday, and then Tuesday you say, let's do the dua for the Quran and finish today's work. The barakah, the special moment is actually when you're finishing the Quran at that given time. So you leave the last two surahs, even in Quran, Falaq, Quran, Nas. You get everyone together and then you read the last 2-3 surahs, and then you say, now the Quran's finished, and then you make a special dua. So here they mention here that when a person's passed away, those things don't get cut off. There's some people who claim that when a person dies, that's it, tough luck. Whatever he done, he done. But the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah we don't hold that opinion. When a person passes away, okay, he might not be able to practically go and do something, but people on his behalf can do good things. Now, for example, someone lost their father, and then they thought, okay, my father's passed away, I'm going to build a well for my father. I'm going to read some Quran, and I'm going to say, the intention is when I'm reading this Quran, the reward will go to my father. Right? So you say, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. You read a few ayahs from the Quran Kareem. Allah said there's 10 rewards for one letter of the Quran. So Alhamdulillah is 50 rewards. Alif, Lam, Ha, Mim, Dal. 50 rewards just the same from Surah Fatiha. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. It builds on every letter 10 rewards. When you're reciting these words, soon as the words leave your mouth, your reward is written, right? Or when you recite on Monday and then Tuesday, angel comes and says, okay, mashallah, you read. The angels are not like us slow. They don't write it after 2 months, backdate, right? Soon as the words come out of your mouth, that's when Allah gives you the reward. So if you're reading for someone else, as soon as you read, you get that reward and that person gets the reward. So it's not like you're going to read Quran for a person who's passed away. People read Suffa-tul-islam when someone passes away, right? People read Suffa-tul-mulk when someone passes away. People recite the Quran Kareem. As soon as you read these words that come out of your mouth, you get the reward and the person gets the reward as well. Okay, so even if your parents are alive or they passed away, the person you did dua for is alive or is passed away. So the way, for example, if I say, I'm raising this money, we hear this all the time, we're raising money for charity for my friend who's passed away, or for this charity, for that charity, and we give the money to this country, and we make these intentions, don't we? So remember, you still get the reward. So if you give £10 to charity, you get the reward for giving, and if you're giving it for your parents who are passed away, they also get the reward. Okay? So that's why I mentioned here, that there is benefit for the deceased believers when they are living and you do dua for them, and even after they are passed away as well. So you can do sadaqah for people who are alive and people who are passed away. You can recite Quran for people who are alive and people who are passed away. It says, the gathering of bodies and the revival on the day of judgment is a reality as well. The believer is given his book in the right hand and the disbeliever in his left hand. So this is the dua we make to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the day of judgment, we're going to be given our book of deeds, right? So those people who, and that's what they, the ulama say that you should always use your right hand, giving and taking things. Because on Yawm al-Qiyamah, if you follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, giving and taking with the right hand, when your book of deeds is presented, which hand are you going to pull out? Your right hand. And the believers will be given the book of deeds on Yawm al-Qiyamah in the right hand, and the disbelievers will take the books in the left hand. He said the scales, so this is one reality. Every single person is going to rise again on the day of judgment. He said the scale by which the measure of both good deeds and bad deeds is known, is placed for judgment. So on Yawm al-Qiyamah, there's going to be a scale, a mizan. Here when you put something on a scale, the scale goes down, doesn't it? There, your good deeds in a'mal, the scale will go up, and your bad deeds will take you down. Right? So the good deeds will raise you towards the heavens and increase your station, increase your maqam on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Then he mentions here they mention the word traverse, it refers to a bridge on Yawm al-Qiyamah. You heard of the Pul Sirat, right? The bridge over the hellfire. So now there will be a bridge over the hellfire. People will cross this bridge according to their amal. Some people will cross the bridge like lightning, because they were so good, because the heat, imagine you put, there's a fire on, and you put your hand on top of the fire, what do you feel? You feel the heat, right? The closer you get, the more heat you feel. Or the longer you keep your hand on top, the more you feel. If you just put your hand for 1 second, sometimes And youngsters, they do this like the fire on or something. They try to do this like, yeah, I can touch the fire. Right? Because that's only for like literally 1 second or something, right? But if you keep your hand in the same fire for 3 seconds, what's going to happen? It's going to start burning, isn't it? So, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when you're crossing over the hellfire, the bridge, then those people who are doing good action, they'll cross over the bridge in a blink of an eye. Then, less deeds, you'll be slower, then slower. Some people will be crawling over the bridge just by holding on. And then those people who disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they will fall into the hellfire. It says some cross at the speed of light, others like a wind, others like fast steed, others at a walking pace, and yet others like ants treading on earth. Each individual will cross this bridge based on his level of faith and works. So our iman, our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will be the main reason you're going to make it across our iman. But the speed you're going to make it will be our a'mal, our actions. So everyone who reads La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, he'll get to the other side one day. But at the speed and the process of crossing will be based on our action, obedience to Allah. Did we follow the instructions Allah gave us in the Quran? Did we stay away from the things Allah told us to stay away from? Did we do the things Allah told us to do? So it's important that we keep all these things in mind. And then it says, this crossing is considered by to be the fight of the Yawm al-Qiyamah for the believers. It says the intercession of the chosen one, the Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the greatest intercession for the final ruling on that day, as well as approaching his watering pool and our realities. So two other things we mentioned on Yawm al-Qiyamah. One is Suffa-tul-islam, the great intercession. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the ummah. So you know, every prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was given a dua. Every prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is given a special dua, right? Other prophets use their dua in this world. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as a mercy to his ummah, he saved, you know, every prophet came for a certain time span, didn't they? So when a new prophet came of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a new messenger came, the old one's job was finished. Then the new one took the responsibility. But the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, after him there's no other prophet. He is the last and final prophet of Allah. So now how many years has it been? 1400 and so years, right? Since the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam moved on from this life. But we haven't seen the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So how will he help us? How will he intercede for us? The people who are alive then, he made dua for them. They ask, Ya Rasulullah, ask Allah to forgive me. But now 1400 years have gone. How can we benefit from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam? The beauty of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is that it's his mercy to the ummah. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Allah said the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sent as a mercy to mankind. So his mercy is all the way to Yawm al-Qiyamah, for everyone who will come. And he's saving the dua, because on the day of judgment, the dua will be for his ummah. And who's the ummah of the Prophet? Anyone who follows and believes him until the day of judgment. So as us today, 200 years later, anyone who comes to say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, that special dua is for them as well. So this is how merciful the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is towards the rest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation. And that's the special rank that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he mentions here the great intercession that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be given. So this is the intercession means, you know, when you, for example, Mohsin done something wrong. And now someone's caught him and is like, you know, this guy's going to get punishment for this. And then I'm going there and say, leave Mohsin alone. He's a good student. He comes to masjid. He's very respectful. He helps in the masjid. Now what am I doing for him?
Speaking on behalf of him.
I'm speaking on his behalf. That's like intercession. I'm saying to the person in the way, chalo, just leave him. I know he messed up. but just forgive him. But the Prophet ﷺ is going to do that for everyone on the Day of Judgment. People are going to go to the first Prophet. The Prophet's going to say, not me, go to the next one. We're going to go to all the Prophets. Help us, help us, help us, help us, help us. And all of them are going to say, sorry, I can't help you today. Next Prophet, next Prophet, next Prophet. And then the Prophet ﷺ, when we go to him and we ask him, help us, and he's going to say, and I'm going to help you. This is the Prophet ﷺ. This is why we love the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Because not only, when you love someone, because they do you a favor, don't they? Right? Imagine I did a favor for Ghulam, right? And he'll be happy, he'll be like thinking, oh, he helped me out, he sorted me out, he supported me when I needed this. Imagine, what's the punishment of the dunya? Nothing. What hardship must I save him from? A detention, 5 minutes, 10 minutes or something. Right? But the Prophet ﷺ will save us from the great torment of the hellfire. The greatest blessing and the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's going to ask Allah to save us from that punishment. So who do we should love more? Even our parents, they do so much for us, right? They save us from a bit of hunger by feeding us on time when we're babies, looking after us, clothing us, sheltering us. But all that on one side, and the punishment of Yawm al-Qiyamah, and those hardships that we can have in this world, is nothing compared to the punishment of the hellfire. Right? So, on that day, the Prophet ﷺ is going to save us from the hellfire. So we owe him more than we even owe our parents. So it shows us the love we should have for the Prophet ﷺ. And then he mentions here about the Hawd al-Kawthar. Right? A pool, or you can say a water. The Prophet ﷺ is going to be a pool of water. And whoever drinks from that water will never ever get thirsty again. Right? So that is one of the blessings that the Prophet ﷺ will be given as well for his ummah. That whoever drinks from this pool, from the water the Prophet ﷺ is given, then he will, those youngsters who have read Suffa-tul-islam, that's why it's called Hawd al-Kawthar, the pool or the water of Kawthar. And Kawthar also means what? Abundance. Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar. There's various tafsir of this. One is that we have given you al-Kawthar. And another thing, indeed we have given you in abundance. So the Prophet ﷺ has both. Both tafsirs apply. That he's been given in abundance and he has been given the Kawthar as well by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says both of these things are reality. The Prophet ﷺ had been on Yawm al-Qiyamah and been given the water of the pool of the Prophet ﷺ. Then he says here, another thing about Yawm al-Qiyamah, is that the speaking of body parts on that day is also a reality. And now we know throughout the Quran al-Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us of something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us that on the day of judgment, our tongues, lips will be sealed, but our hands and our feet will speak for what we did. So now we know it's a reality. How it's going to happen, Allah knows best. Right? But it will happen. That's part of our iman. Why? Because Allah tells us in the Quran al-Kareem that, lips will be sealed, but the hands and feet will be speak. Either they're going to speak for you or they're going to speak against you. Right? Mu'taz, that's it, Mu'taz, right? Mu'taz. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, his hands and feet will say, he wrote the Quran al-Kareem, he wrote fiqh, he wrote hadith with his hands, Ya Allah. His feet will say, he walked to the masjid on Friday lessons and studied. Right? We want our hands and feet to speak good of us on Yawm al-Qiyamah. But then on the other hand, there'll be those people who got the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hands will say, he used us to hit someone. The feet will say, he used us to go to bad places. He used us to kick people. He used us to destroy other people's property. He used us to be in a place where we're not allowed to go, in a haram environment. People go to clubs and pubs and stuff like this. Oh Allah, he used me to disobey you. On the other hand, the feet will say, Ya Allah, he used me to walk to salah, read namaz with jama'ah. Ya Allah, he used me to do good actions, go help people, walk and clean the streets, Ya Allah. Our body parts will speak either for us or against us in Yawm al-Qiyamah. So that's also a reality as well. Then he mentions here, paradise and hell are realities. Heaven and hell. Normally we say heaven, right? In English, for Jannah, the actual word is paradise. Heaven refers to the samawat. There's the 7 skies. They are known as the 7 heavens. But heaven, normally we say is Jannah, right? But the actual word referring to Jannah is paradise. So Jannah and Jahannam, the hellfire, are also a reality. Both currently exist as well. So this is not that Allah is going to make them. They exist. Because in the night of Mi'raj, the Prophet ﷺ was shown these things. So they are a reality and they do exist. Neither of the two nor their inhabitants will ever become extinct. So now we know, what do we know? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised people of Jannah, Khalidun, hum fiha khalidun. They are going to be in Jannah forever and ever. It's, this is how foolish a human being is. If imagine, this is how our state is. I told Qasim that, I'll give you £1 million today, or after 50 years, I'll give you unlimited wealth. Human beings are so foolish, right? They say, I'll take the £50. I don't know what's going to happen later, doesn't matter. I'll take the £1 million now. But Allah saying to you, worship me, follow the Quran, stay away from haram, earn halal, do all these good things. Right? And I'll give you a gift, you will be forever and ever and ever and ever. You eat as much as you want, chill as much as you want, have whatever car you want, whatever luxury you want. But just be good these 40 years of your life. Just follow the instructions. Some people live 10 years, some people live 20 years. Right? How long am I promised? Can anyone tell me how long I'm going to live? No. Even I don't know. Maybe tomorrow I won't be alive. So, something so temporary. And on the other side, Allah saying, I'm going to give you something which is forever and ever and ever and ever. No end. You eat and you eat and you eat. No toilet even. No impurities. No all these disgusting things of the dunya won't exist in Jannah ever. You just enjoy the luxuries of Allah. You enjoy Allah to give you more and more. To the extent insan's going to be like, Allah, this is enough for me. Allah's going to say, have more, have more, have more. But yet, we still fall into the trap of shaitan. Oh, it doesn't matter about Jannah, I enjoy it now. Disobey your parents, go out. If they say stay home, you don't want to stay home. You want to go, don't listen to your mom and dad. They say get off the PlayStation. No, I'm not listening to you. No, 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, I'm going to stay on my PlayStation. I'm not listening to you. Now what happens? Over 5 minutes of PlayStation, we disobeyed our parents, which is disobeying Allah. Now we're risking our gift, which is forever, which is far greater than PlayStation. All those imaginary things you see in PlayStation, you can get far better in Jannah. But over 5 minutes of just playing PlayStation, 5 minutes of watching television, 5 minutes of just chilling out, playing football with your friends and not coming home on time. Over those 5-10 minutes, even 1 hour, 2 hours, make it 3 hours. That is nothing compared to the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So only a fool will, if I say to you, have £1 now or £10 tomorrow, a fool will say, I'll take the £1 now, right? So why do we do that in our life? Every day we do that. Obey the Quran and the Sunnah, you'll get Jannah forever and ever. We say, what? Forget namaz, I can't be bothered, I'd rather watch some TV. I'd rather chill for a bit. I'd rather stay in my bed comfortably. What's more comfortable? The bed of Jannah, the mattress with probably the springs coming out, hurting your back every morning. Which one is more comfortable? Obviously the bed of Jannah. As we've done before as well, I think we've covered already about when you go in your grave, if you disobey Allah, the grave will squash you, that your ribs will become, So do you want to be in that grave chilling or relaxed? when the windows of Jannah are open, or you've been squashed. Why? Because you want to enjoy the memory foam mattress that you have at home and don't wake up for Fajr. Can't be bothered. Right? Imagine there's a house fire, what will happen? We'll be the first ones out. We'll forget our family exists. Right? We'll be straight out the window, first exit out. But imagine the pit of the hellfire. How bad that's going to be compared to the fire. Even the fire of this dunya is scared of the fire of the hellfire. Imagine how bad that fire will be. So, disobeying parents, disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, disrespecting friends, that all these things come under disobedience of Allah. Making a mess on the street, disobedience of Allah, because that's the earth Allah giving you. To look after, look after is a gift from Allah. We're just making a mess on the roads, making a mess of our homes, not listening to our parents, not praying our salah, not looking after the poor people. All these things are disobedience of Allah. Never mind other people, never mind the streets. Disobedience of ourselves. Being harsh to ourselves. How? By eating junk food too much. By not doing exercise. This applies to me as well, and it applies to all of us. This is a blessing that Allah has given us. So this is being disobedient to Allah, because when we are eating too much, being unhealthy, not being active, what happens? We slack in our namaz, we slack in our obedience to Allah. So even looking after ourselves, doing exercise, doing some press-ups, going to the gym, going boxing, whatever. If you keep the intention in your mind, I'm doing this to stay fit and healthy because Allah has given this body, then you're gymming, you're exercising, you're playing football, you're going hockey, right? No one only goes hockey, so you're hockey ones. You're the only hockey player I know in this world. So no one normally plays hockey. But whatever sports you do, intention should be staying fit and healthy because Allah has given us the body as an amana, and we're going to look after this. So your sports becomes a worship of Allah. This is how merciful Allah is. He's given us every opportunity to build this connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so even our sports and everything also becomes a positive thing for us. So here he mentions, then we affirm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created both Jannah and Jahannam before creation, and then created the inhabitants for each one. And he mentioned here before, one thing I missed, that even those people who are going to be in hellfire, the disbelievers of Allah, they're going to be in hellfire forever. Right? And some people say this statement, that's unfair. I didn't worship Allah for like 20 years of my life, and I'm going to hell forever. Simple answer, non-Muslims ask this question. How could he believe in such a God who's unfair? If I don't believe him, if Allah is the most merciful, most kind, he should punish me for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Why am I in hell forever? Right? Simple answer is, do you believe in heaven and hell? He's going to say no. Say, if you don't believe in it, don't worry about it. You'll find out then. Simple. If you are worried, then I'm sure you believe in it. Right? And if you believe in it, fix up. Simple. So if they say they don't believe in it, then say don't worry. You'll find out then who believes it, who doesn't. Right? So simple answer for them. You don't need to get technical and Allah merciful. We know Allah is merciful because He has given us the life. He's given us the information. He's given us the facts and figures. It's our job to apply those information that Allah has given us in the Quran. Then if you don't believe it, you will find out on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So our job is to believe. So those people who reject Allah, they will be in hellfire forever. And those who accept Allah and accept the prophets of Allah, they will be in heaven forever as well. So both things are forever. At the same time, a Muslim, he will be punished as well for his gунاह. So it's not like the Muslim, you say La ilaha illallah, you do haram, you disobey Allah, straight to heaven. No. You will do your punishment and then go to heaven. But we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the dua that make us from those people who will enter into Jannah without any questions. Ameen. Next he mentioned, we affirm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created both paradise and heaven and hell, and the people of the heaven and hell as well. The people of paradise enter in it by the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the bottom line is, the main thing is, I won't go into heaven because I'm the imam of the masjid, I read namaz. No. The bottom line is, I will go to heaven because of the mercy of Allah. Because the blessings He has given me, all my ibadah, all my worship can never ever make up to the gifts of Allah. Right? So Allah will only give us Jannah because out of His mercy. So even if we read our namaz, we say, hey Allah, be merciful towards us. Enter me into Jannah out of your mercy. Oh Allah, I don't worship you properly. You know, my namaz is deficient, my charity is broken, my actions are broken, my generosity and all the good actions I do, they're so weak and they're so poor that I can't even present them to you. That's like, you know, going on, our worship is like, I'm not making an example, but like, for us, for the youngsters to understand. Imagine it's Haidar's birthday, right? And I take him a cake and I've already ate a piece from the cake. And I take it to Haidar and Haidar will be like, what kind of cake is this? You ate half, he's like, you bought me the leftovers. Right? That's how our worship is to Allah. We're reading our namaz, we're praying to Allah, and we're thinking about food, we're thinking about sports, we're thinking about football, is my team going to win the match today? I need to watch the match. All these things are in our mind, and our tongue says, Subhanallah, and we're not even reading that properly, right? And we're doing some next tune, and then at the same time, we expect that, oh Allah will give me Jannah because I read my Zohar Salah. That's like, you know, taking a half-eaten cake to someone and say, happy birthday. She'll be like, that's not my birthday. Take that back. You insulted me. Right? So the ultimate, the main thing that's going to get us to Jannah is what? The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us with His mercy and His generosity. Then He says, we affirm that He will endow them with beautifulness, vision. I.e., and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless us with, you know, the people who are going to go to Jannah. The greatest gift, Muslim, what do you think the greatest gift of Jannah is? It doesn't say that. I'm asking you. And what do you think? What could be the greatest gift of Jannah? Namaz. Okay, that's the greatest gift of Jannah in this world, I know. But in Jannah, it'll be to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To see how it's going to be, we don't know. But imagine seeing the Creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the most greatest gift that we can ever get. Right? When you see something good, you feel nice, don't you? Right? When you see a nice car, you're going to be happy. If you like something, imagine you like a phone, your dad's bought your phone, and you get proper chuffed up, you get excited. But imagine being gifted Jannah and you're happy. And then imagine seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He is. Because we know Allah doesn't have a body. Allah doesn't have a physical form, right? So how He is, we don't know. But we know it's going to happen. And imagine the buzz and the feeling we're going to get when we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's going to be something we can't even comprehend. Right? That's going to be, you know, normally they say, the gifts of Jannah, you can't imagine them. Even the apples of Jannah, nothing compared to the fruits of this world. But imagine the Creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself, you see Him. That experience is going to be far greater than anything possible. Right? So when we ask for Jannah, we ask for Jannah to fulfill those. When we ask for Jannah and the gifts of Jannah, we ask to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you're going to see Allah, that means you're getting Jannah. All the rest of the things are secondary. Right? So when we ask, we say, Allah, grant us Jannah and the vision to see you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything else will automatically be accepted. And then He mentions here, so how are we going to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He mentions here that seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to be like seeing a human being. Right? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't have a physical form in that. In any aspect that we know, or is nothing like His creation subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then He said the people of the fire enter it by His justice. So Allah is going to enter people into the hellfire because He's being fair and just with them. Okay, He's not going to wrong anyone. Oh, this guy, you know, like sometimes we do something wrong, right? And when we get punished, then the punishment sometimes seems a bit exaggerated. sometimes it's a bit less. Like one of the kids in my class today, we were having a discussion that what do you consider as a punishment, and or what happens, or how do you get punished from your families, and or like generally like what's considered as a punishment. And I gave them an example that sitting on the notice step is not really a punishment, because and one of the students said, and asked him, well, how do you get punished? Imagine, I gave them an example. Imagine you went to school, you had a fight, and you actually beat someone up. You were at fault. You got suspended. What would your parents do? And he said, my mom will tell me, and my punishment normally is to sit on the stairs for 10 minutes. And everyone started laughing, right? Because punching someone up and sitting on the steps for 10 minutes, is that fair? No. So the guna, the sins we do on the day of judgment, so sometimes less happens, right? But sometimes more can happen. Imagine you got suspended from school for throwing the book across the classroom. Not at someone, but just throwing your empty room, right? School, the teacher suspended you for throwing something. You came home, your dad got the jukti and start battering you with the slipper, right? And now you got a black eye and all that. In your head, you're going to be like, I threw a book and I got battered for this. That's unfair. That's over the top as well, isn't it? So one is, you beat someone up, you stand on notice step for 10 minutes. On the other hand, you threw a book and you got battered, right? Black and blue. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He punishes to the point. He's not going to punish you more than you deserve. Remember that, He's going to be fair in His punishment as well. But this also ties into another thing before I move on. Imagine, I've used you guys, I've used Sufyan as an example. Imagine me and Sufyan had a fight, right? And Sufyan got the upper hand. Now, Sufyan got the upper hand, I got battered. Obviously, he hit me, so he's going to ask Allah for forgiveness, right? That's what we should do when we do a crime, don't we? We ask Allah for forgiveness. Now, he thinks, oh, I'm asking Allah for forgiveness. We'll make it the other way around, because this story is a bit negative my way. So I hit Sufyan, right? And I say, oh Allah, please forgive me. I do read some nafal, do some dua. I think Allah is going to forgive me. Allah is the most merciful. He's going to forgive me. Now on the day of judgment, I get caught up. The angel said, mate, you're getting battered. You're going to get punished for this. You hear Sufyan? I'm thinking, I asked for forgiveness though. Right? So Allah is the most merciful. Why didn't He forgive me? I was really sincere in my forgiveness. Fine, you were sincere in your forgiveness. But Allah has to be fair to him as well. He got battered. Right? So Allah needs to be just and fair to him. So how is Allah gonna, pay him back? Or, right? In the sense of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the zulm that was done to him, how is he gonna get, justice gonna be served for him as well, isn't it? Because he might be on the other hand thinking, I got battered and Allah forgave him, that's not fair. So Allah has to be fair. So when we do something wrong to someone else, we have to seek forgiveness from that person as well. Because you're still going to be caught up on the day of judgment if you do wrong to someone. So if you stole something from someone, for example, imagine you stole someone's chocolate, you ate it, it's gone now. You tell that person, you get forgiveness from that person, because on the day of judgment, Allah is going to forgive you for the thing between you and Allah. But that person, Allah is going to be fair to him, say, okay, your thing was stolen, I'll be fair to you. So, Saqib, get here. You're going to be punished for this. Right? So, when we seek forgiveness, there's two types of sins. One is between you and Allah, like namaz is between you and Allah. If I miss my namaz, there's nothing to do with the ghulam, right? Now, but if I stole something, now it's between me and Allah because I disobeyed Allah by stealing. Now, ghulam will say, I still on my bike. I'm not going to let you go. So, I still have to seek forgiveness from that person as well. So it's important to keep this in mind. So that's why it says here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He'll be fair to the people of Jannah, and they'll only go to Jannah because out of His mercy. Because if Allah is fair to them according to their actions, they won't get Jannah as well. So those who go to Jannah is because out of Allah's mercy and they believe in Him. And those who go into the hellfire, they're only going to be punished for the level of what they did. So if they totally rejected Allah, that's the worst thing you can do. So their punishment will be according to that. So a person who, a Muslim, but he did something bad, his punishment will be according to the bad action he did. Is that clear? So inshallah, next lesson we start from number 31 on for this Sabbath, inshallah. Inshallah, we'll make a start on the chapter of Tayammum on page 50.
There was one question.
Ji, inshallah.
When we, meaning Muslims, go to hell even for a bit, will we get purified for our sins?
So the punishment in the hellfire is basically the purification of the sins. So you'll only get punished for what you did. Something that Allah still will forgive. So imagine you've done 100 sins. Allah might forgive you for 99, saying, but one I'm going to cap. This one you have to punish for. If He wants, He can forgive all that 100 and say, go to heaven. That's Allah's own choice. But the sins are going to be purified through your, obviously once, sometimes, inshallah we do the rest after the namaz, but sometimes this, where some of our sins are sorted out in this dunya. Some are going to be sorted out through the punishment of the hellfire. So, for example, we done a minor sin. We do wudu, Allah forgives minor sins through wudu. So those are done and dusted already. So you're not going to get punished for those. So those that we don't get punished for, we're going to be accountable for them on the day of judgment. Unless Allah shows His mercy and He enters into Jannah. Right? That's His own choice. But we're still responsible for those sins. But once we got the punishment for those sins, then we're like a clean slate. Now you go into heaven and then you're in there forever chilling and enjoying the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
There's another question.
Ji.
Just say, I'm going to make it about myself. Just say if I did something when I was small, when I was a child, and obviously the person, if I made a mistake to that person, him or her, they passed away. How then can you ask for forgiveness from that person?
Okay, so you've done something and the person's passed away.
Yeah, person. Yeah.
So the ulama normally say that, because like I mentioned, this question links to what I said before. If you do something wrong to someone, you ask Allah for forgiveness and you get apology from that person, right? But what if the person passed away? Or imagine you're never going to see that person again. He's moved on and you're never going to meet him again. Then the ulama advise that you do ithal al-thawaf for that person. You do good actions for that person. Right? So, like for example, you built a well and you're like, you know what, around my uncle's passed away, I used to be nasty to him, I stole something from him, how should I get forgiveness? Now, you do a sadaqah for that person and you do a form of charity for that person. When you recite Quran, make intention that this reward to go to that person. On the day of judgment, Allah will be fair. That person will be presented with those gifts from you. And then after the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will make him forgive you. Yeah, so doing sadaqah jariyah for people who are passed away is a form, if you can't seek forgiveness from that person, that's another form that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us to get that forgiveness from the person on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Because what happens when you wrong someone, you take the sins of that person. And when imagine they got no sins left. Now your good deeds go to that person. So on the day of judgment, you can just present them with the gift of, I've done this when you passed away, I've done something wrong to you. But if you can return that thing, then you can return it. For example, the person is something got to do with wealth that his children should have inherited. You can still give it back to that child and say, look, this actually belonged to your father. You know when someone passes away and they do the e'lan in the mosque, that if this person owed you money or anything, can you speak to the son? They say that in the mosque, right? So you can do that and say, look, I owed you that money, but it's passed away. And because the children inherit the wealth anyway. So you can just give it to the children as an inheritance. And that'll be that you pay the father off by giving it as inheritance to the children. But you still do sadaqah jariyah on their behalf. inshallah, and Allah knows best, inshallah. Continue from page 15, inshallah, about tayammum. So, now we move on to the next topic, which is about fiqh. The first one was about iman, the different things we believe about. Now, the next topic is about fiqh, how we should spend our life. Namaz, roza, azkar, hajj, all that, right? So, the first thing that we spoke about in the chapter of purification is about wudu. We spoke about the wudu, and then we spoke about ghusl. Now, inshallah, we're going to the third topic, which is tayammum. Ready? Bismillah. So it says, tayammum is permissible when there is a valid excuse such as the following. So tayammum, they call it dry ablution. As soon as they dry wudu, it's not dry wudu. Because wudu is when you wash your side, tayammum is when you use the earth or the mitti or the soil. Okay? Now I'm going to mention some reasons that qualify you for using the soil. Then we're going to talk about how to do tayammum later. Okay, number one. It said being roughly 1 Hashemite mile away from water or a source of water, which 1 Hashemite or mil shar'i Islamic mile is, or Hashima mile is slightly different than the mileage we understand here in the UK. So it's actually 1.6 miles. Okay, 1.16 miles. That's how much it refers to. So it's not 1 English mile, the one we use now in schools. Rather, is 1 mil shar'i. So 1 Islamic mile, you could say, or in Islamic context. Then the mention here is, it says here just to give you an idea how much that is, because you might not have something to measure a mile. So they wrote here the distance is estimated to be roughly a half an hour walk. Okay, so it takes about half an hour to walk a mile in a normal general pace. And they also mentioned here is so they mentioned here another point is that this mile, it doesn't have to be factual. Like it's definitely up to this thing or to this point is 1.16 miles. No. It will be an estimated guess. Like for example, if I think the closest water for me is probably by Bury Park. Okay, that's about 2 miles. Or if I think, or it's by Kingsway, where Roti Junction is, most people know Roti Junction is, right? So, where Roti Junction is by Kingsway, then that's 1.16 miles. It's an educated guess, okay? So it won't be just like, yeah, 1 mile is probably Bury Park. No. You use your rational mind, okay, I'm going to walk down this road. It's not, you're not crossing over the houses, obviously. It's about walking down this road and that road, so use the educated guess, and then is it that far? Okay, it's quite far. It's out more than 1.16 miles, so I can do tayammum. So first reason is the water has to be far away. Second, this doesn't, some people think tayammum is only for people who are musafir travelers, and not for only travelers. Even if you are at home, something happens to your water supply. Imagine you live in Pakistan in a village, for example. You don't have water, local water, you have to go get it from a well from somewhere. Now, it applies, even though you're not a traveler. Okay, so this rule is not for travelers, it's for both a resident and a traveler. Then it mentions here it's extremely cold. Now, this is scenario based, so sometimes we live in the UK, we have central heating, so imagine there's no hot water. We can survive with cold water, quickly do wudu, and then save up the heater or something, right? But places where it's cold already and the water's cold as well. Now it's so cold that if you think, if I actually take my hands out the glove and I wash my hands, then I could get illnesses or I could become ill because of the cold. Now you have the excuse of tayammum because your health is at risk. Okay, so that's what it means extremely cold. Not that, oh, it's snowing outside, you got the heaters on at home and you're like, chalo, I'll do tayammum. I don't need to get out of my bedroom yet, I got to be off soil here, I got a plant, do tayammum here. No. It's about you actually experiencing that cold, and the coldness will harm you. Next, they mentioned sickness. So that is a similar point as what I just mentioned. I kind of joined them together. If a person is ill and feels that his sickness will worsen or become prolonged in the process with tayammum, with wudu or with ghusl, whether due to the water itself or the movement, then he may perform tayammum instead. So here now, this doesn't mean that the person has to be ill, or the water directly is going to make his illness, is the cause of his illness. It could be that, for example, a person is bedbound. Now he knows that if I go to do wudu, that's going to cause, maybe he broke his leg, he's got some injury. Now my injury is going to get worse if I walk over there. So now, because of the injury getting worse, or his injury being delayed as well, his recovery being delayed. So if both of these things are going to happen, that means obviously his health is at risk. So then that's what sickness refers to here. But for example, right, a person thinks I'm going to get or worse if I have a shower. For example, someone has a really bad illness and he thinks if I have a shower I'm going to get worse. How does he know? It might not get worse. So it'll be based on your experience. So either you know from experience, the last time I was like this and I went to do wudu or have a shower, I got worse. So you know you're going through the same experience. Or you take an educated guess. But you can't just say, oh, I got a headache, or I just took the headache today. No, you can't do that. Or I'm feeling a bit cold, you know what, I won't have a shower. Even the shower's far from me, I do tayammum. No. Only on the basis that you're ill to that point that your illness is going to get worse and it's preventing you from recovery as well. Okay, so it can't be just guessing it. You know, I had a discussion with someone on Eid, unfortunately. But the discussion was about, doing tayammum or wiping over leather socks, right? This is how people try to make excuses and not to do wudu or ghusl properly. And this person said that you can wipe over anything in Hanafi school. One of my teachers said you can wipe over normal socks and this and that. I said okay, and I said give me an example in which, because it gets awkward sometimes. I said give me an example where it gets awkward. He said because when you wash your feet, you can get athlete's feet. So I don't wash my feet, I just do athlete's feet. That's not a valid reason to. Now I'm not about leather socks you can wipe afterwards. That's different. But Jorabain is socks. Both of these words are used in Arabic. One's called Jorabain, the pairs of socks, or Khufain, the leather socks, right? The Masa is al Khufain, wiping over leather socks. But people try to use any excuse to do it over normal socks as well, right? Because of athlete's feet. That's not a valid reason. Wash your feet and dry with a tissue. Right? So some people use these excuses, but they don't apply. So same in Telugu, people might try, I'm a bit ill today, I can't get out of bed, let's do tayammum. It doesn't work like that. Then it says the person has wounds on his body, so the person can do tayammum. For example, the person might have been burnt in a fire or something. The person might have a car accident. It could be any type of injury that now, obviously, these 2 points or the last few points kind of link together that illness can get worse basically. So the person can do tayammum. Fear of thirst. Now, the person might be thinking, I've got pani, so what does this mean? Sometimes you might be traveling and you have a bottle of water Now there's 3 people traveling, you have a bottle of water, so the first one doesn't apply. The water's too far, you got the water. But now, you know on your journey you're going to need this water to drink. If you do wudu with it, you're going to die of thirst. So now, you save that water, even though you have the water. You save that water for drinking, and you do tayammum. Okay, so tayammum not only if you really don't have water, you can have the water, but the water you can't use it because it's for drinking. And that's the only drinking water you have, so now you can do tayammum. Next, fear of an enemy or a beast around the water. So now, if you're scared of dogs like me and you know the water's outside and the only place the water is outside and there's a dog there. Now you're scared of a dog, you think if I go outside the dog's gonna attack me. You go outside, the dog starts chasing you, obviously now you're scared. So your health is at risk again, or an enemy. Right? So Qasim wants to go to the shop, he has to go get some money. And Qasim going and then he said, Dad, I can't go. That guy is there, he's going to beat me up. Right? Now I'm going to get battered if I go. So now your enemy is there, someone's going to beat you up maybe. So the water's on the other side of the enemy, so you can do tayammum now because you're saving yourself from being attacked. Be that from a person, be that from an animal or anything. Right? But you have to be reasonable. You can't say that I'm doing tayammum because there's a cat over there. Right? Obviously a cat is not really going to attack you. Even though people might be scared of a cat, but you have to be realistic. A dog, a dog is dangerous, he can attack you. But just because you're scared of cats, it doesn't mean that that's a valid reason. Okay? So a cat won't be a valid reason. Same, a mouse won't be. A mouse won't be a valid reason that you said there's a mouse in the room, I'm not going there to do wudu. That's not a valid reason. Okay? The mouse will run away from you, so will the cat. Even though you're scared of it. Okay? So fear of an enemy, number one. Lack of apparatus. For example, you have there's you have a sink. In a modern example, right? You got the access. You got a sink there. You know the water comes out, but now someone tightened it so hard you can't open it. So you need a tool to open it, right? So, or it might be a well, for example. Now you got a bucket. The water there you can see, but how are you supposed to get the water on the well? So if you don't have the tools to even access the water, or it might be something simple. The door might be locked. You don't have the key to get into the bathroom. And now, obviously there's water next door to your neighbors, so you can still ask for some water like that. So at home, if you're stuck in the UK, the way we live, just because your water supply might be, repairing the boiler, for example, and the water shut off, and you think, oh, there's no water at home, I can do tayammum. No. You can go to your neighbor, you can go to the shop and buy some water. Another one the given is fear of missing a Suffa-tul-islam or Suffa-tul-islam. The Janazah one, it applies here in the UK. How many times can you read a Suffa prayer? Once, right? So, for example, Abhaba Zohar Salam, you came to the masjid and you got late, you missed your namaz. As soon as you woke, the imam was like, Assalamu alaikum to Allah, Assalamu alaikum to Allah. You missed your Zohar. Can you still read Zohar?
Yes.
Right? You can read on your own, or if someone else comes, you can say, let's do our own Jama'ah. But you went to Salatul-Janazah, and the Janazah namaz is about to finish. If they give salam and they finish the Janazah salah, can you say, Chalo, I'm doing my own Janazah namaz? No, right? So in that situation, if you think you're going to miss your Salatul-Janazah, then you can quickly do tayammum and join the salah. Or imagine you join the Salatul-Janazah, you broke your wudu, you don't need to go do full wudu. You can quickly just go outside, do your tayammum, and then quickly join the Salatul-Janazah. If you're praying outside Salatul-Janazah, you can just rub your hands on the ground, do your tayammum again, and read the Salatul-Janazah. Same way they mentioned here Salatul-Eid. In the UK, like normally the rule for Salatul-Eid is, right, there's only one Jamaat. And you pray in public, in an open place where everyone can attend in one go. And that's why these days people pray, for example, Eid namaz in a park. They say it's a sunnah to read the Eid salah in the park. Yes, it's a sunnah to read the Eid salah outside the masjid. That is correct, and those people, that is a correct understanding. Okay, so it's not that they're doing something special and unique that other people are not doing or they're wrong. No, it is sunnah to read actually outside the prayer, outside the masjid. But in the UK, obviously because of circumstances, because of restrictions, you need to get government permission first, apply for all these things. Then if it's raining, then you're back stuck in the masjid, people don't want to pray outside. So that's why they have 2, 3, 4, 5 jamaats in the mosque. Because the mosques are small, the communities are big. So we have 8 o'clock jamaat, 9 o'clock jamaat, 10 o'clock jamaat, like that, right? So if you're missing the first one, then you can just join the second one. But if it's the last one, then just apply this sunnah, inshallah. Is that clear so far? Yeah, so these are the main reasons why we perform tayammum. We'll stop here and continue from this one next time. And just do a few things from the one.
Sajid, 2 questions. Regarding the tayammum, won't you still have to roll up your sleeves for tayammum in extreme cold? When it's extreme cold outside, do you have to roll up? You know, because I think it's jumped up from the previous question. When it's cold
So,
outside, extreme cold, so it can cause you death.
So, like for example, it depends now. Tayammum really, right, is you have to, so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to remove everything, right? You just need to wipe, but it won't be so cold that you're going to get ill really. Like frostbite, for example. In that situation, you won't be able to even take your gloves off. So how are you supposed to do tayammum in the first place, right? So that's those rare scenarios where you're fully excused. And for example, you find yourself in a situation that you bilkul can't do neither wudu, tayammum, then the ulama mentioned that you, out of adab for the salah time, you don't actually pray your salah, but you do the ishara of the salah. No, you don't actually pray. And when you get the opportunity, you read the salah as qada.
But will it still count as do you miss the salah, or is it?
You will still have to, but obviously out of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, because you had the, like for example, they mentioned that for example, a woman who can't read namaz, pray her salah because of her menses, right? Of a monthly cycle. What does she do? They still advise her, in that time, she should still wake up for Fajr. But read some tasbihat in that time. Just for adab that I would actually pray, but I can't, to keep the habit of the salah. So in the same scenario, imagine in a scenario that you can't even pray at all. Imagine a person bedbound in a hospital, he can't do tayammum, right? But he's consciously awake, but he'll be aware of the prayer time. So in his mind, he should be out of adab for the prayer time. He should still take the time out for dhikr basically. Yeah, and then when he's able to pray the salah, then that person in that scenario, he would pray that salah. But if, for example, a person is unconscious and so on, then obviously he won't need to pray that salah because he's not qualified, because he's not mentally present.
Another question. Nowadays, in the 21st century, they have like alternative waterproof socks. So, does the same ruling apply to those as well? For example, one of my cousins, they have on eBay you could buy these socks, right, called CL socks. So they are some people they say that they are the alternative to the leather socks. Can you still do masr on them, or can you not?
These normal socks that we wear, the cotton ones, you can't wipe over them. But those ones you're on about, our Pakistanis or our Muslim business-minded, what's it called? Business-minded people, right? Entrepreneurs, whatever they want to call themselves. They just use it as a business idea, and they call them wudu socks. They're not actually wudu socks, they're normal hiking socks. So hiking socks are qualified for wiping over, the same as leather socks. But if you buy hiking socks, the actual ones, decent ones, they cost 10, 15, 20 pounds, one pair of socks. Right? Those are qualified to wipe over. But outside they look like these normal cotton socks. But they are designed for hiking and they are qualified. So those ones you're on about, they're called seal socks or something. They're actually designed for hiking and stuff. They are qualified for wiping over. But local shops sell them as wudu socks. Yeah, and that confuses people. But they should say that these qualify because of X, Y, Z reason, and they are designed like this and so on to take the doubt away from people.
But does that still qualify for the sunnah as well still?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, third question. If someone is sick to the point that he has to pray with his eyes, does tayammum still apply?
So it depends on how the person, for tayammum, for example, tayammum, the two we can discuss next lesson, is the fard of tayammum is what? Or wiping the earth and then wiping your face, wiping the earth, dusting your hands, wiping your arms. If he's too ill to the point he can't even do that, then that doesn't apply to him. Right? So obviously because he hasn't even got the quwwah to do that. But if he has the ability to do that at least, then he has to do that. Yeah? So if he can't even do that, if he doesn't have the tawfiq to do that, then obviously that hukum doesn't apply to him. Right? Like for example, that's saying to a person with no, imagine someone had an accident, his leg got chopped off, both of his legs got chopped off, right? And you said to him, one of the farz of wudu is to wash your feet. You can't, your wudu doesn't happen because you never washed your feet. The guy's going to say, it doesn't apply to me because I don't have my feet. I don't have feet to wash them. So similarly, a person who doesn't have or can't possibly even do something, then obviously that hukum drops from that person. That ruling drops from that person. But obviously if he can do it, then he should, or he still needs to do that, whatever his inability to do, he should still do that. Inshallah, we'll just briefly do the next part, and then you guys are free to go. This page number is on page number 26. So last lesson we spoke about, Imam Ghazali gives the introduction to the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is more focused on spirituality. First one was just how to do what we believe, which was the Aqidah part. The second one was about our fiqh, halal, haram, do's and don'ts. This third part is about cleaning our heart. Okay, so page number 26. So now he told, Imam Ghazali speaks about that we need to fix up every part of our life. The inner part and the outer part. So now he's talking about the inner journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we wake up in the morning, how we behave, what we say, and how we spend the morning, and how we manage our time. So first thing he says here, he says you will never be able to be capable of this, i.e. doing the right thing, purifying your inner self, the outer self, being a good Muslim, applying the things in the Quran and the Sunnah, if you don't manage your time. So the foundation of everything is time management. So it's important for a Muslim to organize his day. Right? So when we wake up in the morning, for example, we wake up on Saturday, those who go football with me on Saturday, then we have this football part in our mind. Right? Those who go football, they're like, yes, Haji, like the guys are asking me today, is there football on tomorrow? Is there football on? But the key thing is that we don't organize in our day, which is what? Our salah. Tomorrow we got a flight to Pakistan, for example. We got a flight to Dubai, we're going on a holiday. Or what time's the flight? Make sure you get to the airport 3 hours early. But we never think, okay, what part of the day will I really my Zohar? Where am I going to be for Zohar? Am I going to be on my flight for Asr? Am I going to be land in my destination for Maghrib? Where am I going? So organizing a day as a Muslim is not that we try to fit in our namaz. We say, okay, first thing, namaz, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. Now, how am I going to build my day around my salah? Not the salah around the day. Right? So organizing our time, organizing our routine, organizing our day properly, that is the key thing. That's the foundation of our journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now, for example, we want to pray Salatul Fajr namaz. So we make an intention, organize our time. I better sleep early, I better put my alarm on, I better eat early and not eat late, because if you eat late, you can't get up, right? So you prepare and organize your time. So now when you wake up for Fajr, you're fresh, you heard your alarm because you never stuffed yourself before you went to sleep, or you never stayed watching TV or not watching Netflix, movies till 2 in the morning and then you can't get up for Fajr, right? Organize your day properly. Then he starts, he says, when you wake up from sleep, try to wake before dawn, i.e. before Salatul Fajr. And let the first words on your tongue and your heart be the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you wake up, try to wake up early. We can't even wake up Fajr. So here he says, try to wake up before Fajr and be ready for Fajr, right? So for us, wake up early and nice and time for Fajr. Fajr is at 4 o'clock. Try to wake up at 3 o'clock, 3:30. Nice and ready for Salatul Fajr. And then he says, when you wake up, what do you remind yourself? He says, Alhamdulillahi alladhi ahyana ba'dama amatana wa ilayhi nushur. There is given about 6-7 lines of dua. For us, at least learn this first part of the dua. This is the minimum requirement. We all should be reading this dua when we wake up. It reminds us of what? What's the dua saying? Alhamdulillah. All praises to Allah. Alladhi, the one, ahyana, gave us life. Ba'dama amatana, after giving us death. Wa ilayhi nushur, and we are going to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the first part of the dua. So what is this dua reminding us? That when you go to sleep is as if you died. So when we go to sleep tonight, we should go to sleep with this intention, what if I don't wake up tomorrow? Right? Imagine we knew that tomorrow I'm not getting up, this is my last sleep. Soon as I fall asleep, consider me finished. What will we do? We'll try to fix things, fix our life. Any problems you have, any issues you have, we try to sort them out, right? Yeah? If we hurt someone's feelings, we'll try to sort them out. That, you know what, I'm never going to see my mom and dad again. I better, spend as much time with them before I fall asleep. So every night we should have this experience that if I fall asleep now, this might be my last night. So, but when you wake up in the morning, it should be Alhamdulillah to the one who gave you life after giving you death. Why? Because when we die, or when we go to sleep, it's as if we die. So going to sleep is like dying. Every night we experience death. We experience Allah's every night reminding us, basically, that you're going to come to me. You're going to die one day. This life is nothing. Connecting back to what I mentioned before. Right? This life is nothing. You're going to die one day. So Allah gives you death in the night. So when you go to sleep, what happens? You don't know what's going on around us, who's there, what they're saying, what they're doing, where we are even. You don't know nothing. Why Allah is reminding us every night that you are going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. Here's the other example, here's an example, here's an example. Every night Allah is giving us an example that we're going to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when we wake up, we remind ourselves, oh Allah, you gave me life after giving me that example basically. Thank you for giving me this life. And then, but oh Allah, I remember, what lesson do I remember? The last word of this, وَإِلَيْهِ النُّشُورُ, that oh Allah, the lesson I learned from this death is I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to face you. I'm going to die. I'm definitely going to meet you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this part of the dua, everyone should try to memorize. At least read this much when you wake up. Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'dama amatana wa ilayhi nushur. All praises to Allah, the one who gave us life after giving us death, i.e. sleep is death. And wa ilayhi nushur, and we will return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the rest of the dua goes, Asbahna wa asbahal mulku lillah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the morning and gave the rest of Allah's kingdom the morning. Wal azamatu wa sultanu lillah, and the greatness and the king, the grandeur, it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wal izzatu wal qudratu lillah, and izzah and grandeur and greatness basically, and qudra and power belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're reminding ourselves of the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Asbahna ala Suffa-tul-islam, and He gave us this blessed morning as in the state of being a Muslim. Thanking Allah that He's woken us up as a Muslim. Wa ala kalimatul-ikhlas, and He's woken us upon the kalimatul-ikhlas. What's kalimatul-ikhlas? The pure statement, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. That we're thanking Allah to give us life as a Muslim. and وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم, and making us a part of the ummah and the followers of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين, and being part of the millah and the followers of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who was pure Muslim, free from disbelief. He didn't worship any, like we know all the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their whole nasab, the whole lineage is free from shirk. Right? No one in their forefathers were from amongst those idolaters. They all were on the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the dua carries on, Allahumma bika asbahna. Oh Allah, in your name we wake up, or I experience the morning, wa bika amsayna, and with your name we experience the night or the evening. Wa bika nahya wa bika namutu, in your name we live, in your name we die. Wa ilayka al-nushur, oh Allah, I will return to you. Allahumma inna nas'aluka an tab'athana fi hadha al-yawm ila kulli khayrin. Oh Allah, we ask you to give us and send towards us today every good thing. Send goodness my way, oh Allah. And that's what you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then وَنَعُوذُ بِكَ أَن نَجْتَرِحَ فِيهِ سُوءًا. And oh Allah, we ask you to keep all evil away from us today. Oh نَجُرَّهُ إِلَى مُسْلِمٍ أو يَجُرَّهُ أَحَدٌ إِلَيْنَا. And save me from troubling other people and other people from troubling me. Save me from harming other Muslims and other Muslims harming me. Keep me away from all these hardships. وَنَسْأَلُكَ خَيْرَ هَذَا الْيَوْمِ. Oh Allah, I ask you from the goodness of this day, وَخَيْرَ مَا فِيهِ, and the goodness of what's inside this day. وَنَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ شَرِّهِ وَشَرِّ مَا فِيهِ. And I ask you to protect me from the evil of this day and the evil of what's within this day. So this is the dua, right? So obviously it's hard to learn all these 6-7 lines of dua, but the first part, it kind of summarizes the whole dua. Yeah? Oh Allah, thank you for giving me life after death, and to you I will return. Then thank Allah. The rest you can do in English. Oh Allah, just think of it in your mind. Allah, thank you for making me a Muslim. Thank you for making me a follower of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thank you for, there's a hadith that we covered on Thursday zikr, which I'll finish off with, inshallah. The hadith we covered on Thursday zikr, those who came yesterday, was about doing shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the joints in our body. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there's a sadaqah, there's a charity for every joint in our body. There's 360 joints in our body. في كل تسبيح صدقة وكل تحميد صدقة وكل تهلية صدقة وكل تكبير صدقة. So saying Subhanallah صدقة, Alhamdulillah صدقة, saying La ilaha illallah صدقة, saying Allahu Akbar صدقة. So all these things, every joint in our body, we owe Allah صدقة. So when we wake up in the morning, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us our body even. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us everything we have. Our sight, our blessings. One of the ways to get rid of depression is shukr, gratitude. So you wake up in the morning, you go to people for counseling for depression, and then one of the things they give you, and this is real, right? One of the recipes they can give you, or the things, or the dhikr they can give you basically, right? Even the non-Muslim doctors are as well. What do they give you? 10 minutes in the morning of gratitude. Thanking, being grateful for the sight you have, for the clothes you have. Be positive basically. Building positive energy. And Allah has given us to that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being grateful and doing shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all our a'mal. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us the ability to be grateful and do shukr in all aspects, and do amal on whatever we have covered today, inshallah. آمين. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. وصلى الله تعالى على حبيبه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.